Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We have the CEO and president and CEO of the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce, Eddie McBride, on the phone. And Eddie, it's always great to talk to you. What does the chamber have going on right now?
Well, Matt, Dave, good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning.
Glad to continue hearing you guys. Glad that Dave is still protecting himself as well. So we're busy on several fronts, Matt. The first and foremost, probably like today, we're getting ready for this new round of the PPP loans and the COVID-19 emergency loans in general, including the EIDL. We're having a webinar this afternoon with Neil Bradley. He's the Executive Vice President and Chief Policy Officer at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, who is one of the national recognized experts on this. And so we're trying to get as much information out to businesses. The PPP loan, if you didn't get it the first time, if you're going for the first time, actually the applications were being made available tomorrow. Yesterday, and the second round is going to be made tomorrow. So a lot of good stuff going on with that.
Can you hear me, Eddie?
Yes, sir, I can, Dave. Good morning.
Okay, please explain to us, because I have just been reading about a PPP loan. Could you explain to us what that is, and who qualifies for it, and how you get it?
The first round through the CARES Act was last April, and that's when a whole lot of businesses were able to take advantage of this federal money that was made available to give them some relief. You had to obviously apply and prove the fact that obviously that you've had a reduction in your services and your revenue that you've been trying to generate. So this is a second loan, a huge bone of contention through the last 2 months, essentially, maybe even longer in Congress to get this thing done. They finally got it done, and it's hit the street. And what it does, if the second round of PPP money covers operation expenses and supplier costs and worker protection expenses and things of that nature that obviously that you need to continue your business. So they've lowered. You got to have 300 employees or less. So they've reduced the amount of, or reduced the size of the business that can apply for the loan, and you have to prove that you've had a greater than 25% reduction in gross receipts from 1 year compared to the next. So some of these PPP loans, you got to go to your banker or a lending institution. There's a lot of other folks that obviously are qualified to do SBA lending. And so to do that, obviously, you need to go to your bank to get information about if you never received the first PPP loan, or that if you received one the first time and you've exhausted it, and go and get the second draw.
Okay, Eddie, now explain to me. This is a loan, and you are going to have to pay this back, correct?
The PPP loan is forgivable. You have to meet certain guidelines, and the application process is available for the first loans to actually have been forgiven. And there's certain amounts that are automatically forgiven, or it's easy to forgive $150,000 and below. They looked at for that being just a grant. But all of the PPP loans are subject to forgiveness, and the application process was put into place several months ago as well. So a lot of folks that received the PPP loan, and we had a lot in Lubbock, have already exhausted their first PPP loan, and so they'll be subject to try to get a second draw, as they're calling it. But there's also a lot of businesses that did not receive a PPP loan the first go around, and I highly suggest that they get to their banks and talk about applying to get that assistance. Because, Dave, you and Matt know there's a lot of businesses out there that are still operating in very thin margins. A lot have already been, doors have already been closed. So this is an opportunity. Those of us who hate to take advantage of federal taxes and take the federal money, this is something that if you need it for your business to survive, I highly recommend everybody go and look into these paycheck protection program loans.
Now, Eddie, one of the big things with this is the fact that they did reduce the amount of employees you had to have. So you're not going to see a giant company getting millions of this. I mean, this is specifically for smaller companies.
That is correct, and they also reduce the amount of the loan that it can't exceed $2 million.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing too. The loan amount is done. Usually, it's done by the amount of your employees and your payroll cost. So that's what you use to try to obviously secure the loan. Is based on the first round CARES Act money was keeping the whole intent was to keep your employees hired. That's the whole purpose. In no matter what anybody else says, that's really what they tried to do, is to be able to give businesses enough money to keep their people on the job. And a lot of folks didn't get it, and so that's why they needed a second round. And there's a lot of people that think there's too much money floating out there. The debt's $27 trillion and getting worse. And yeah, but when the federal government makes money available and it's supposed to help your business and keep your employees employed, you need to try to take advantage of it.
So
how
fast did the first PPP loan disappear?
I say probably, if I remember correctly, started in April and was finished in May, so 6 weeks.
So if you need this loan, you need to get an application in now.
Yes, sir. You should be speaking to your lending institution, whether it be a bank, and now they've opened it up, of course, for smaller businesses, for minority-owned businesses. It's CDFIs, and also federal credit unions are now obviously able to provide that loan to small businesses as well. So if, number one, go talk to your lender. Go talk to a bank. If you don't have a lender, then you ought to go talk to a bank with some friends to get them to explain to you how to do it.
No.
And it's going to be very important to try to get in the queue as quickly as possible, because just like the last time, it'll probably go fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what Eddie, we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So tell us what is going on at the Lubbock Chamber of the award-winning Lubbock Chamber of Commerce right now. What do you got going on?
Well, planning, still with the it's hard to do things in person, obviously, with the spike in cases and everything else. So we're planning everything still virtual, at least, for the next month or so through February. And so our Leadership Lubbock class has started. It will start in February so that we can give it a better chance to see if it can't be done in person. Our young professionals are up and running. The second biggest thing, besides trying to make sure people have access to this PPP and EIDL information, is getting ready for the legislative session that starts today. As we all know, that our Austin representatives are down, taking advantage of the lower expectations that the comptroller described yesterday. We're $1 billion short, so we know that it's going to be difficult trying to find money for all the programs that we did 2 years ago because we got less money.
Whoa. We're how much short?
We're $1 billion south of where. So.
Now now I want to make it clear. It's $1 billion less than we were last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
But it's also a lot better than they originally predicted.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was they were expecting maybe up to $4 billion, I think, something along those lines.
It's a lot better than they had originally predicted. So
$1
billion. How is this going to affect us, Eddie?
Well, it's what ends up happening. We got a balanced budget, so the governor and lieutenant governor had already issued instructions that folks are going to have to take a cut in their budgets, and I think that number was around 5%. And I heard the comptroller say yesterday that probably will take care, if everybody can cut their budgets 5%, then or something similar to that, then that'll take care of the $950 million shortfall. Is exact. $1 billion sounds a lot worse than $950 million, I guess. But
I don't know. I don't know that it does, but anyway.
Yeah. So, but that's one of the things that the pandemic has caused, where we lost a lot of money in sales tax. Although we still were accruing a lot of sales tax over the summer, and through this recent holiday season, it's still not as good as obviously as it was 2 years ago.
Well, that and oil and gas really
and
took a big hit.
Yes, sir. That's exactly where I was going next as well. And it's just like in the hotel motel industry, there's going to be a lot of money that's down in that from that tax that was collected. And what the original forecast that he did last summer was $4.6 billion budget shortfall. So this $1 billion shortfall is a lot better than what the original estimates were going to be.
Well, I'll tell you, Eddie, that makes me feel a whole lot better. It is 7:18. We got to take a break, Eddie. Hang on with us, and we'll be right back and talk with Eddie McBride, the head man at the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce. After this, Dave and Matt in the morning will return.
Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We are talking to Eddie McBride, the president and CEO of Lubbock Chamber of Commerce. And Eddie, I've got the numbers right in front of me, and it looks like the Texas legislature is going to have $112.5 billion. So the positive, well, I guess that's for the 22-23 budget. That's
the biennium.
Right, okay.
Excuse me.
So, but that... when you're looking at $1 billion off from the year before, that's not nearly as bad as if you were thinking you had a $10 billion budget. So, I don't know. I think that the comptroller did a very good job, and I think that there's real potential that when COVID-19 we get past that by 2022, it may even be a lot better than that.
Well, you hope that the continued recovery from the pandemic, and that's what this PPP loan process is supposed to do, too, is to generate more activity, and I think that we saw that last summer. But this is in concert. Don't forget this bill that came out was also in concert with the money that was made available to extend the unemployment as well as the direct payments to families, individuals and families. So all of this hopefully will, just like what you got through saying, stir a little bit more economic activity so that we can get back to sales tax collections and everything like we were receiving before, which is a huge fuel for the economy.
So are you working with the health department as far as the COVID-19 vaccinations coming into Lubbock?
We have been promoting it. I think with the work that they're doing, especially expanding the opportunity, is I think you saw as well, they're expanding the opportunities for more vaccinations to occur, as far as opening up another clinic. And I think the more folks that can get the shot, the better, obviously, the feeling's going to be. So I think all in all, that's good news. So what the only thing we've been able to do is to help promote it, to make sure that we share information and send people the right direction. Although there's always some confusion when these type of programs first start, I think all in all, I think the city of Lubbock has done a very good job if you compare it to other cities, not only in the state, but also across the nation. As far as the amount of our population that's been, the percentage of our population, I think Lubbock is doing a great job of getting people vaccinated.
So,
well, let me ask you this, Eddie. I am one who should be on the top of the list for a vaccination, and so far I have been unable to get that. Do you have any suggestions for me?
Have you heard from your doctor's office?
To get on a list.
Yeah,
I have. And my doctor says we're not doing vaccines.
Okay, then your next list is to call the health department and get I just had somebody do this yesterday, so I know it works.
I have called the health department, and they say I get a recording that says we are not accepting appointments for vaccines now. When's
the last time you called?
Well, like yesterday. Believe me. I call every 15 minutes.
I had a person in my office call yesterday, and she got an appointment. So I don't know what the difference is. I'll have to ask her. But now you're not the first person I heard that's had trouble getting through in calling. But I gave her the same recommendation, and now she didn't tell me when's her appointment for. I also know some other folks have gotten appointments through their doctor's offices.
Well, and I will say this, Eddie, I read yesterday on the Texas Tribune that Lubbock, in the next round from the state, Lubbock's going to get 5,000 doses, which is more than a lot of places. So hopefully that'll, I know it's still not enough, but hopefully that'll be a good help getting them out there.
Yeah, the more the merrier. And Dave, I'm sorry that you're having a problem, but I know that's what I would do is to call. Now, there's if you're not getting help from them, then obviously you need to take it up a notch and call I know the call in the health department. It says when more appointments are available, they can be made online at mylubbock.info/COVID-19 vaccine or by calling the health department.
Yeah.
So, and
send an email.
Keep trying, buddy.
All right. Eddie, I'm sorry we're out of time, but thank you so much for coming on. Eddie McBride, the president and CEO of the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce. We love talking to you, and we'll talk to you again soon.